Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
Hi and welcome to StockInvest.us podcast for week 38. This is the one podcast that really has only one intention, and that is to try help you make some more green. And we do that usually by two simple rules. We try to increase your gains and reduce your losses. If you're a new listener, this is how we'll do it. I will first tell you how I think the market will progress this week. I will look into a few tech stocks, include Bitcoin and Dogecoin. I will tell you two stock trading tips for the week, which I will trade personally. And by the end, we'll look into a portfolio that we've been following since Christmas. And last week I told you I thought it would be a red week, and it was a red week, but it was not very much red. If we look at the actual numbers, Nasdaq, for instance, lost only 0.47%, but it was a very, very slow week. Nasdaq is heading toward 14,800. I told you this in the last podcast. This is the level where it will find support, where the index will find the support. Right now, the index is at 15,044 points. 15,000 is a psychological support level, and it may very well be that this is the level where Nasdaq will bounce up. I don't think so. If we look at the news, we can tell that Asia fell pretty hard last night. They are deadly scared that this major housing bank will fall in China. And I think that we will see some of the ripple effects also for the trading start in Europe and US. Dow Jones ending the week at 34,589, only down 0.05%, so really unchanged at Dow Jones. Back to Nasdaq, what I think is that Nasdaq should go down to the 14,800 support level. And as I told you before, I don't see this as critical. It will only be critical if Nasdaq goes below, because then it can really fall fast to 14,000 points. Has something to do with psychology. And one of the other things that we can look at, try to determine if it will hold or not hold the support level, is the amount of buy and sell signals. For instance, at Nasdaq, and right now there is 22% buy signals across all tickers listed at Nasdaq. This number is a number between 0 and 100. If it goes above 70%, we usually say that the market is way overbought. But it's very seldom that all tickers get into 70%. I would say if it gets above 50, then it starts to be overbought. The other side of our boat is, of course, oversold. When are there so many tickers having a sell signal that it's indicating a forthcoming change? Being at 22 is not, I would say, not very low, but it's starting to get low. Hitting 16 will, of course, be what I would personally consider to be a very low and typical place where you can start do some pickups. The thing about these very, very low levels is that panic works in the way that it accumulates. When things really look scary, it can get more scary. People start selling in panic because they think things will go wrong. I think this might be one of these weeks where you can do really nice pickup, that we can have that volatility in the markets where you get heavier days. And as I said so many times before, you buy on red days and you sell on green days. If you buy on red days, you get the discount. If you are thinking about buying anyway, well, why don't you buy on a red day? So I think this low level of buy signals is typically indicating that might happen. And I think, as I said, there is some more room for Nasdaq to fall down to 14,800 before it turns. We had many red or weak weeks lately. And I think we are very, very close to see a green week. But trading is like this. As I told you, when it gets bad, it can get even worse. And it can be this week where things really look, when we look at it on Friday, went very bad. I don't know, it's a gamble. That is stock trading. That is how you place your bets. My bet is that we will see a Nasdaq down to 14,800. I think that might happen actually on trading today, on Monday. That it can fall as low, especially in the beginning. I think that will be a lot of nice pickup points, because I think it will be a rebound. But we can also look at a few other things. I tell you this as well in this podcast. Look out for some fundamental news and what is happening this week. Well, there is nothing really special, except Fed will have a meeting. And the outcome of the Fed will tell something about how they will play the interest forward. And I'm pretty sure, despite they saying the opposite, that we will see interest rates starting to increase pretty soon. And pretty regularly. They have to beat the inflation somehow, and they try to damp this thing about inflation, saying that it's just a spike. But I don't think so. It's because there is a huge disruption in logistics across the world. There is a huge disruption in food production, in so many things that was disrupted by how we have handled the COVID pandemic with shutdowns and everything. And these things will take so long time to get back on track. In the same time, the different countries are just pumping more and more money into the economy, heating up everything. And I don't manage to see how this will end well without having a huge increase in interest rates. The inflation, of course, will cause the increase in the interest rates to try to hamper that inflation. So I think that will happen. I think that the Fed actually will have to admit it during the week. But I also expect that the professionals, the market already expected this thing. So I don't think that will be the one thing that will make markets even more red. I think that the markets already taken these things into account. Looking at a few other things, oil is unchanged, around 71 right now. Nothing majorly going on there. Gold is just under 1800, 745 right now. But I believe gold will continue up. The treasury yield, the measured inflation, is at 137, slightly up from last week, but nothing really. But this week, I think that we can start to see these small pushes up, maybe to 155, 167, depending on how Fed will play their cards. So what do we believe about this week? I can only guess. And from a trading perspective, that is what you try to do. You try to have a forecast, because that will enable you to play better. You will not always be correct. It could be that you're a little bit wrong, but in general, it will help your trading a lot. So my thoughts for the week is that they will open week. Could be all Monday, or could just be half on Monday. Could last into Tuesday. But that the overall week actually will be green this week. Not by very much, but by some. And that it will be some very interesting trading levels. I have two candidates for you today, which I will trade personally. As I told you last week about these two stock tips I give every week. Last week I did not have two, because I had too many open positions which I wanted to close, and some of them were closed with very nice profits. We will get back to this, but looking for instance at Moderna, it was closed with 8.45% profit, very nicely, and AMC 22.16% profit. So indeed very good. And the portfolio, whoa. UAB Energy was closed with 95% profit. So some very good things happened last week. But I personally reduced my trading. I didn't find those major trading opportunities during the week. I think this might be a better week for that. And we will not dwell more about the markets. As I say, you can pay attention to what Fed will say during the week. I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday. They will give some statements that could affect the market. But in general, what you can expect for today is, of course, Asia will affect the opening on the markets. And this may possibly be a very good pickup opportunity. And then I will just repeat myself, because I told you just a few minutes ago, buy on red days, sell on green. So if you're thinking about buying stocks this week, if it gets into a very red day today, well, it will just be a good day to buy if you still planned to buy. The buy signals, sell signals across the board. I told you that Nasdaq had 22% buy signals, New York Stock Exchange 22% buy signals. It's very low. It's the lowest we've seen for weeks and weeks. And last time this happened, there was a nice pickup followed later. London 28%, a little bit better in Europe. Frankfurt 20%, very low. And China only 16%. I also told you that this would happen. I don't remember if it was last podcast or the podcast before. Pay attention to Asia, because I think that we'll see falls in Asia, and that could, as I said, affect the markets. If markets fall below 14,800, just be aware that we can see a huge drastic fall over a few days down to 14,000. It could be the pain ride where it only goes down by 1% or 0.5% per week for weeks to follow. Very hard to say, but there will still be a lot of trading opportunities. And that brings us to the very first stock we analyze. And also here, just to repeat myself, why do we do this? Why do we look at some major stocks? Well, this just gives an idea of the overall market and makes everything a little bit easier to understand. Last week I said to you that I believe Apple would end at $151. Apple ended at $146. So for the first time in many weeks, I was off by Apple. And I was actually off by Microsoft. I was off by Tesla, GameStop. I was a little bit too negative. The markets were better than I thought. So for instance, Microsoft, which I thought would end the week at 292, ended very close to 300, 299. Crypto, even a little worse, but let's start with Apple. And you can look at the Apple chart yourself. You can go to our page or whatever page you like. I like to believe that our page at StockInvest.us is maybe some of the easiest charts to understand that is out there. And if you look at the chart, you can say that it's in a very nice rising trend. The two things that bother is, of course, the volume is very high. It's not following the stock. The price is going down. The volume is going up. This is a divergence. We don't like divergence. Divergence indicate that the fall actually may continue. And the relative strength index is a chart below the main chart, is falling downwards, is 45. So the stock is still not oversold and can fall further down. It can pick up from the bottom of this trend, but with very little support below 145. Next levels is 143, 140, 135. I believe we can see further fall in Apple this week. The problem, if things turn around, start to go upwards, is that the stock will face a lot of resistance around 150. So this is the most likely scenario. It has less upside than it has downside, so it's more likely to go down in my opinion. If it goes up, it should go up to 150, then start to fall again. And it may actually be that we are seeing a long-term break of a rising trend. I will let you know when it happened, but it looks to me like 156, almost $157 might be the very high in Apple for a long time to come. Some can argue that we can see a head and shoulder forming, indicating that the stock should fall around $9 from today's level. That will bring it down to around 137. Could agree to that. Very likely, especially if it falls below 144. For the week as such, I think it will trade somewhere between $137 and $147, but ending the week not so far from today's level, I will actually keep 143 as target for Apple this week. And if you've been following me very long, you will know that I have not had this low target for Apple. I've been following Apple upwards with continuing increasing targets, been 150, 150, 153, 155, 155. but lately I started to reduce my targets, and this is the lowest I had in a long time. Jumping straight over to Microsoft, these two stocks follow each other to some degree. But looking at Microsoft, we can see that the trend is a little bit better. But we have the same position. The volume is going in the opposite direction of the price, this divergence that I talk about. And if you go to our page and you look at the chart, you will see a volume. In this case, it's actually liquidity, the amount of money spent buying and selling stocks, Microsoft stocks. You will see that the volume is record high. And that indicates to me that the volume will not go any higher, it will fall down. So you are in need of a very good week to make the stock continue upwards, otherwise it should fall. Has much more support than Apple as is, has support at 300, 297, 295, 290. So I don't see any fast fall for Microsoft as is. I think that the stock will go more or less sideways during the week, somewhere between $295 and $305. It might even be, if there is a very, very good trading day, 1 or 2 trading days, could even push above 305, but I don't think that in general. Everything is indicating that the stock should trade sideways or down, and my bet is that it will go sideways. But I will put the target just a little bit below today's level at $297. Last week was 292, but right now there is so much support just around 300. So I don't think that 292 could be intraday, of course, but not by the end of Friday. A few more stocks, Tesla and GameStop, before we head to the crypto. And Tesla is one of these stocks which I told you at 560, just buy Tesla, it will go up. And as I said last podcast, I believe it will head to 800. After 800, it will be a different story. Last week, I thought Tesla would have a slight correction down to 730, but ending the week at 759. Before that, the target was 780. So as I said last week, I still believe Tesla will continue to 800. But either 8 or 900 will be the place where Tesla will turn, in my opinion. Everything in the charts, when I read the long-term charts, indicate the same thing. So this big trade in Tesla, which started at 560, is slowly coming to an end. And that means for you, my listeners, that I will be out of Tesla any day soon. I am so happy with the profit. Extremely nice. But I don't see the risk reward anymore as good as I like. And how will I get it out? Well, I will do it the way I like the very best, with a trailing stop loss. Which means that if the stock goes up, well, the stop loss also go up. So I will get the highest price minus my stop loss. That will be the level where it go up. If I'm lucky, it will go to 900. Maybe it will only be 800. I don't know. But as I said, I think that we're getting to a close on this run in Tesla. It might be that it will get back on track, but before that, it should have a correction. GameStop, I said to you last week that I thought GameStop will go to $181. It was far off. It ended at $204. And looking at GameStop, we can tell that things are a little bit better than before, but it's in the top of a horizontal trend, and usually that indicates that the stock should go down, and I think that will happen. There is buy signals from the short-term moving average, long-term moving average, but with resistance at 210, 220, it needs to break this level before continue up. If it goes about 220, it will go very nicely. It could even go straight to 300. Volume is following the stock somewhat, so it's not so bad at all, but it will need some good markets or news to drive it. If it falls below 200, said this the last time as well, when I said that the big problem with the GameStop is that it has really no support under 200. It will fall fast. So if it falls under 200, things will start to get ugly very fast and can go down to 165, even 150 very quickly. So these are the levels that you will have to pay attention to. Being under 200, you should not sell at 200. You should look more to 197. I would say 196, 197. Because anything that can bounce up from support levels, well, they can break them just a little bit. So you don't, if the support is at 200, well, you allow a little slack below or above, depending if it's resistance or support level. But we have to figure out what will be the end of this week. Relative strength index is moving upwards from 43. Volume is, I would say, following the stock somewhat okay. There is buy signals from short-term, long-term moving average. This indicates to me that the stock will do the fight, but will 210, 220 be too hard? Well, if you look at the volume has been much higher before. It was in the middle of August, it was way higher. So we know that the interest and the money that can flow into GameStop can be much more than current level. My very best guess is the following, that GameStop will push a little upwards, 210, 215, maybe even 218, struggle with 220, then fall back, and by the end of the week be somewhere around, I would say, 190. And the reason for this is because I expect some red days. And I think that this will be enough to push GameStop below. It's that kind of stock. And that it will then, as it falls under 200, it will fall so fast and maybe so deep before bouncing up again. So I will be negative also this week for GameStop. Last week the target was 181, so we'll be above that. We'll keep it at $190. Hopefully I'm wrong. We will see. And that brings us to the Bitcoin and the Dogecoin before we get into this week's trading tips. And last week I told you, I believe, or as I said, Bitcoin was oversold. Actually, all crypto was oversold. That it should react up from a technical point of view. And Bitcoin did. It started the week at around 44, 45,000, went up to 48, 49,000, went sideways, and as we speak, it's, I think, around 45,000 again. So it bounced up, didn't manage to break that 50 level, and I told you that 50 level is a level that you need to keep attention to. And the question is, will it break up, or is everything over? Bitcoin is at several support levels. Falling below 44, it can easily fall down to 33. These things you really do not know. But with falling volume, very low RSI, I still believe that the crypto will pick up from current level. I have to say there is a sell star from the long-term, and the short-term moving average was established back around September 10th. And this indicates that the crypto should continue to fall somewhat. But if crypto managed to get above 48,000 again, this will change and flip to a buy star. Technically, things are indicating that it should struggle, but at 44,000 it will find support from the trend level, and I think it will bounce up. So I'll remain positive to crypto despite being wrong 2 weeks in a row. I've been wrong about the end result, which price it will end on. But I will do that. This reminds me a little bit when the crypto was 30,000 and I said the same thing. And crypto was struggling around 30,000 for a few weeks before it finally bounced up. I think the same thing will happen. It struggles a little bit. If it's not this week, it will be next week and it will go up. So I used it last week as a buying opportunity to buy a little more crypto. Might be wrong, of course. 44,000 is the level that you want to watch, because below this it can fall a little bit faster, but crypto is crypto. And Dogecoin is the same story as Bitcoin, more or less. Didn't manage last week. I had a target of 29 cents. Didn't manage that at all. On Friday ending at 24 cents. So we were very off. But in general, I like what I see. The relative strength index is super low. Last time we had somewhat similar pattern was back in July. Dogecoin went down to 17 cents and then started to pick up and doubled from 17 to 35 cents. And getting down to the bottom of the trend, I think we will see somewhat the same thing. Okay, might be that they go down to 20. I have really no idea. Could even be 17. These things you don't know, but I think we'll see the same pattern. It starts to pick up and it will go back up, in my opinion, to 34 cents, maybe even 40. So I still remain positive in the long term. It's just trying to pick these short-term numbers. So we will have a target for Dogecoin by end of this week for 28 cents. I think that will be enough. And that brings us to a part I know many of my listeners like. It's these new things that I brought in, the trading tips of this week. So what have happened? I told you last week there was too many positions open, so last week I did not open a new trading position for these things. What happened is that Moderna, as I told you, I had trailing stop loss in Moderna. Moderna pushed upwards, then it fell back a little bit and was closed at $446, giving me 8.45%. SQ was closed with loss, minus 3.73%. That's the only stock for all these weeks which gone to a loss. The rest have gone in profit. AMC, which was bought at 41.65, was closed by stop loss at 50.88. And just a quick reminder again, stop loss, you can either set it yourself by a dollar or a percent, or you can use trailing stop loss, which I really like. Not all brokers allow this, but the more serious do. It's just a setting which called trailing stop loss. The stop loss will always follow the price up. So if you have a 5% stop loss, every time the price go up, the stop loss also go up, but it will never go down. And by up, I mean, let's take an example. You have a stock which is a value at $100. So you have $5 stop loss, the stop loss will be $95. Now, if you have a trailing stop loss, the stock goes up to $105, your new stop loss will be 100. And it will never go down. So if the stock goes down to 103, the stop loss still remain at 100. If the stock then just jump up to 120, your stop loss goes to 115, but never down. So you'll always get from the highest price. You have to adjust your stop loss according to the volatility of the stock and the risk that you assume there is, because some stop loss can be cut short by a daily movement. Synga was also closed at 866, giving only 0.23%. So to sum up the stocks before I tell you which stocks I will buy this week, because right now it's only Diffusion which is open, bought at 55 cents, still at 55 cents. I keep this position open. Nvidia gave 13.45%. The Roku trade gave 5.75%. The coin gave 2.32%. Syngas is at 0.23%. AMC gave 22.16%. Moderna gave 8.45%, and SQ was the only stock for all these weeks sold with loss at 3.77. So what stocks will I buy this week? There is one game I really like. Once upon a time I was really trading a lot. Now I don't have the time for it, but when I was trading I loved using relative strength index. I was hunting these stocks which was very oversold on the relative strength index, gambling on a rebound. And this week I actually want to do that for Castis, CDCI. This is a huge gamble. It's not very liquid stock. but I like what I see. It's utility stock listed at Nasdaq. It fall all the way from $13.50 down to $8.62, and is bouncing up from $8.62. I like the volume formation of everything I see. It has some resistance at $9.40 around, then really no resistance before $11.20. I'm gambling on the theory I always used when I try to do these pickup things. It will go up either 1/3 or 2/3 of the previous fall. And the previous fall, if we say that started at $13.40 down to $8.60, we will have some $5 more or less in trade. So if we say it will go up around 170 from 860, that will bring us to 1030, meaning that I can have 13% profit for a 1/3 jump up. I think it will be more, but 5% is super good trade for me. So if I manage to get 10%, or more likely as I see it, because of the resistance around 1120, that's the level which I think is possible to gain out of the trade. So this today, when market opens, I want to get into Cadiz stock, but be warned, it's not very liquid. It was only 10.07 million shares bought and sold in value last trading day on Friday. But Cadiz is the one we will hunt, one of the stocks we will hunt. The other stock is the ticker Nevro, and this stock actually has a golden star. If you go and check it, it's called Nevro Corp. It's medical devices, healthcare industry, listed at New York Stock Exchange. And if you go in and see, you'll see have a golden star over on signal here at StockInvest.us. And what I really like is that there is no resistance at all from 100 and the level where it is today, around $126 and $143, giving $16 trading range. So I want to see if it's possible to get these dollars or most of it. It's by percentage is close to 10%. It's close to 6-7% possible trading range, and I really like that. It will be very nice if the stock managed to do that, and in best case it could be even more than 10%. But you have to go into StockInvest.us, type in the ticker NVRO, and you will see for yourself. On the right side you have some gray bars. This is accumulated volume where people bought and sold stocks before. And right now, really no people bought between $126 and $143. So there is hardly anyone waiting to sell on these levels. So that's a thing that I really like, because usually the stock moves very fast between these levels if it first pushes upward. There are many negative signals in the stock, but with somewhat good support just below today's level, I think that the risk reward is attractive. StockInvest, our computer algorithm, says it's a hold candidate and awaiting further direction. I agree to this evaluation, but for trading we have to get in early and out early. We want FIFO, not LILO. First in, first out, not last in, last out. So FIFO is the game that we trade. So these will be the two tickers which I'll try to get into this morning. Costis and Nevro. Costis and Nevro, these two stocks are the two stocks, and hopefully I can report by next week positive profitable trade in these two stocks. We will know next week because I'll not hide anything from you. I'll tell you exactly which numbers I will get into, and I will of course as usual try to read the volume. I see we are getting into a few tips, so I'll just give another tip. if you have a decent broker, you will be able to see the depth of the volume, the trading volume. So you will see what kind of bets that's put in, how many buyers there is, how many sellers there is. And when I try to find the lowest point, I try to look at these things, because if it's a lot of sellers and few buyers, it usually indicates to me that the price might get a little low before it picks up. So I would try in these two stocks to do the same thing. As we get closer to opening, I will start look at where do these trades position, what is the buy-sell ratio. Is the ratio above 1 means that there's more buyers than sellers, etc., to try to time exactly which level I can buy. If I'm very lucky and we have a very red opening, I might, for instance, be able to buy Nevro at 121, 122, and I will be super duper happy trying to reduce my risk. So look into the depth, try to understand where do the buyers and the sellers position themselves, where can you get that little extra margin. And we are getting very close to the end. It's just the portfolio. And as I told you, I will slowly get out of the positions of this high-risk portfolio. Ur Energy closed with 95% profits. So happy about that. And Abus is also doing very good, ending the week at 435. But I like what I see in Abus. There is more to come. Diffusion being a disappointment, of course, but accumulating a lot of stocks, but not being able to push upwards much lately. But this is the life of penny and high-risk stocks. They need this right environment, good green days, heavy green days, where risk willingness increases and people just buy these things. I was hoping for a lot more nice information from Diffusion Pharmaceuticals, because I know they have a very good product, but they have a shitty management not being able to push news. And when they finally push some news, they manage to push it on extremely red days. And the stock are not able to pick up from it. So bad management, bad way of presenting news, press releases, and COVID bit by bit getting closer to an end. It might be that we will not be able to get that real huge run in Diffusion Pharmaceuticals, which I was so certain would happen. And if you followed me for more than 1.5 years, been trading up and down in Diffusion Pharmaceuticals, made a lot of money, but I always said I believe very high it can go to $5. But that's 10 times from today's level. Doesn't seem likely now, so that dream is fading. I had my reasons for believing it, but as right now, it doesn't seem that it will happen. They need to change the way they present the news, so they can catch some attention while the markets still are on an uptick, and not start push these things on a downtick, because then anything will be hard. NEO, just sideways movements, $37.51 ending Friday. That is slightly down from the week before. Petrogeo Service 434 was looking good for some time during the last week, but was also a slow week. But Arbutus, as I said, 435, very nice profit in Arbutus now. Velocity Energy is unchanged, hardly any trade at all, and this happens when markets go sideways or down. These lottery tickets, these pink stocks, they go totally dead. So that was, as I told you, that was a lottery ticket. It's a huge gamble, and it may actually be that I will be stuck in this thing for a very long time, or have to take a loss. You don't know. We need these green markets or some special news in the ticket itself. If markets go into or continue that rally, Velocity will pay some off, but not right now. The last stock is Okugen, 793 right now, and I believe Okugen will continue to do good. Because of the nice uptick in Arbutus, etc., it was a very nice week for the portfolio. It was actually up 8.88% in average. Hopefully it will be even more this week, but as you'll notice, I have closed more and more position in this high-risk portfolio. that is the end. I hope you found some information useful. We're very long. It's 40 minutes podcast this time. I will end the podcast as I always do. I really hope that you will be able to do some very good trades. Dig more in, be a little patient, have a plan when you buy, have a plan even for selling. As I said, selling is the hardest part. So have a mental prepared awareness. What is the level where you want to sell? Where will you cut your losses? All these things will bit by bit just help you increase your profit, reduce your gains. And that is what you want to do. So we'll leave it with that. I will be back in 1 week. I hope you will not only have a positive week in the markets, but also personally that you will enjoy the fall. And we will speak in a week. Bye.